We are going to go with the most dangerous situation you ever found yourself in. Wrestling related, though.
The potential dangerous situation where it could have went sideways was one night stand. It already went kind of sideways with John and Meanie when John was blasting Meanie and punching him because all those guys have been drinking up in the balcony. And that was something where I was like, everybody knows, the fans know, and the fans are very aggressive too. And it's Hammerstein Ballroom. So probably 10 seconds, all I could think of is, are the fans going to start hopping the guardrail and going after John? Are the WWE's going to fight the fans? Are they going to turn to us and start fighting? So there was a potential of that. Probably the next one would be the fire incident with the chair that you talked about earlier. That was terrifying because fire is unpredictable, and I didn't even know if we had a fire extinguisher in the building.
Jesus, I didn't even think of that. Did the fire marshal ever turn up to the ECW arena?
Maybe to get paid. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Do you know, because so people know, sometimes if the guest asks, I'll run through some of the questions, and I asked, can I ask about the Bradshaw thing? We're not going to talk about Bradshaw and Meanie because we know the story about that, but the BWO turns up soon afterwards, and then there's like a rematch happening. So, right, my memory's really bad. Was it Meanie and Bradshaw, or was it you and Bradshaw in the match?
No, me and Bradshaw. It was a very tense situation. Like, I wasn't in the room with them two. I wasn't in the room with Vince. Nova and I were very separated from that. But the fact that it was happening at all could have been so many different things. So you just don't know. It's kind of live to tape anyway. It wasn't live SmackDown, but it was Tuesday taping. But deep down, I said, like, if we get through this or whatever happens, because I didn't even know the finish for a while, or like who was going over or anything. I was saying, if anything happened, if we get through this and it's cordial or civil, it's literally just to avoid the lawsuit that Minnie potentially obviously had off of because you had video footage of them getting drunk, you had the fight, you had everything, the dangerous work environment, all that stuff that could have been brought to court.
Did anybody, and now I'm paraphrasing about 15 different people asking more or less the same question here, but did anybody put their arm around you and say, listen, kid, you really lay that chair shot in this time?
No, as a matter of fact, when I came back in Gorilla, it was a ghost town. Vince wasn't even
Really?
No, it was a very much and I have to say this is where, in a way, I know it lives an urban legend, and it's some kind of myth that people talk about, because obviously the story of it is obviously, wow, Bradshaw did this thing, and then the karma came back, or the receipt, or Stevie was defending Meanie, which, by the way, at the time, if I could have interpreted even what was happening at the time at One Night Stand, Al Snow was already kind of heading that direction. We would have got John away from Meanie before anything even happened. But who's done? It's a work sense. So when you're in a work situation and it turns into a shoot, there's a little bit of a shock involved. Like, whoa, you almost can't believe it's happening. So with the chair shot, I'll just preface it with this. I take no pride in ever or solace or satisfaction in ever hurting anybody. It's not what we do. And even if it's what one of us do, and John has a reputation for being rough with people in the ring, he's been rough with me plenty of times, it's still not an excuse for any kind of unprofessional behavior to hurt anybody and do that level of damage. So, and there was a thing where I had mentioned to John before the match, could you be on your knees or somewhere in a position where I can hit you with the seat? Because he's a monster.
Yeah, 6'6" or something, legit.
6'6", 300 pounds. I mean, he's bigger than Hogan in some ways. He's a big dude. So I was afraid when I hit him with the chair that I was going to hit him exactly where I was going to hit him, with the part of the chair that he got hit with. And he was super cool. And he goes, no, just lay it in. It's cool. I'll be fine. I'll lean into it or whatever. And that's what happened. When I get back into Gorilla, it's a ghost town until one person shows up, The Undertaker. It's me and Taker and Guerrero and nobody there. And I'm convinced Taker told everybody to leave. Came in, and at that point in my mind, it's like, do I keep my mouth shut and wait for him to talk to me? Do I explain myself? You're really in a part where you don't. And Taker's not easy to read. He's about as stoic and stone face, no matter what the situation is. Happy Taker is upset Taker is sad Taker, right? So in this case, is am I dealing with shoot fighter Taker? Is he taping his wrist up like he did with the Austin Michaels thing? Or I'm looking for it all, James. So he comes up to me and he goes, hey, he goes, let me talk to you for a second. His demeanor wasn't intimidating, but he was like, hey, our roster's really thin right now. We can't afford to lose anybody. What you just did there, we're probably going to be down a guy. And I go, Taker, I swear to God, I did not do it purposely. I didn't do it. I'm waiting back here to see if he's okay. So if he comes back here and punches me or does whatever, I'm standing right here. I'm not running from it. He goes, I understand. He goes, he goes, you didn't mean to do it, but we just need to be more careful. We can't afford to lose anybody. I go, I promise it'll never happen again. That was the end of it. John came back smiling. He goes, hey man, you got me, And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. And he was just like, no, it's cool. It's cool. And he goes, as a matter of fact, I want you to go to the magazine and tell them you did it as a shoot. You gave me a receipt.
Really?
I want to make this into something. So I go there. He's there. I'm telling the magazine, I go, is that cool? He goes, no, fucking harder. I was like, well, okay. He goes, go harder. He goes, I did the MEANIE, and he's very much business about it. Now, here's the funny, not so funny conclusion of the story. We do it. It gets published on the website, I think on the magazine, but definitely the website publishes it. And the next week I come to TV and John pulls me aside and he goes, hey man, about that thing, like that interview you did. And I go, did you change your mind? Are you mad at me now? And he goes, no. And he goes, but we never told Taker. And he called me during the week.
Oh no.
And he said, is there something you want to tell me about an article on the internet? So now Taker is ready to after I said hey, I didn't do it on purpose. Now I'm doing an interview where I said do it on purpose. His buddy didn't clue him into it. And he's ready to confront me again at TV. So
the hand taping. This was going to be the hand taping, what it sounded like.
I would just stick your fist out and I would just run into it and take a bump.
I love how, John, not to speak for John, but he couldn't have come back and just got really annoyed about it. I'm happy he just came back and said, oh, no worries, and sort of just accepted it. But
we're all crazy. That's just the way it is,
With the BWO, it's sort of like a very mini reunion on WWE TV. Was this always going to be a one-shot deal, or anything? Nothing's for certain in wrestling, but were you always told, no, it's 1 week thing, and then you'll just go back to whatever you're doing after?
They didn't say that, but we thought there was somebody in legal. I was convinced of that was they were like, how can we get out of this? And he was like, sign MEANIE to a contract or bring back the BWO. And MEANIE was gone maybe 2-3 months later. So he basically, we had that match and then we had the Mexico thing at Great American Bash. And then we were done. Nova and I knew right from the get-go. This was a lawsuit push to prevent any kind of, because how can you say when, if anything now, John could turn around and sue me for a dangerous work environment. So now, everything looks square. And yeah, Nova and I knew, and Nova was doing his best work as Simon Dean. So he didn't want to go back to the BWO. And I was just whatever at the time, that's fine. But we weren't stupid. We knew what it was.